So I want to defend Jorge López, a pitcher for the New York Mets. So the Dodgers just swept the Mets, and the Mets aren't very good. Once again, cruddy. And the game's close, later innings, and Lopez gives up a bomb to Shohei Ohtani, frustrated. Then he starts squawking with a check swing third base umpire, and he starts arguing with the third base umpire, and he's not very happy, and the Mets are having a terrible season, and the third base umpires, as you know it, they just don't like to be shown up, so he throws him out of the game, and Lopez goes off, untucks his shirt, throws his glove into the stands. Yeah, you would hope he wouldn't do that, but he showed emotion. That's okay. Steph Curry threw a mouthpiece across the court. Pat Bev threw a ball at fans twice. Jamal Murray threw a heating pad on the floor. International soccer stars unravel regularly. They've punched players, bumped officials. You don't bail on them. Put your arm around him, do better, maybe throw a fine. The Mets cut him. I know it's baseball. There's a way to play the game. You've got to respect the game. Yeah, that 15-year steroid cattle steroid issue. Was that respecting the game? Guys shooting in the butt before the game? 15 years, pitchers, hitters. Hey, you're making money. Nobody said no. Was that respecting the game? Being a reliever is incredibly intense. You're asked to come into a game in a high leverage situation, pretty cold, few warm-up pitches, and then meet that intensity head on. It's like merging into traffic going 85 miles an hour. It's like joining a roller coaster mid-ride. And it's pretty thankless and very difficult. The only thing more difficult in baseball than getting a save is getting a hit. And we've seen baseball players break a bat over their knee, scream at umpires, throw bats. It's hard. Baseball is hard. There have been 400-plus saves this year and 250 blown saves this year. It was a high-leverage situation. Ohtani hit a bomb. Here comes another all-star, Freddie Freeman. It's a check swing. Season's melting down. Mets about to get swept. Here's another too tight umpire tossing him out of a game, and the kid unravels. He later said, I'm the worst teammate in the world. He felt terrible. He said, I'll be available if they need me tomorrow. And Major League Baseball and the Mets, a cruddy franchise that he didn't overpay for those teammates, cut him. I have defended Draymond from the beginning, called a hypocrite because he works for my podcast digital company. And I say, no, he's an athlete. He's a professional. When you go to work, you don't have a stadium full of people heckling you, judging you, cheering you, booing you. It's hard. And being a reliever, 250 blown saves this year. It's really hard. Spare me on there's a way to play the game. The unwritten rules in baseball often take precedence over the written rules. Don't get me started on exit velocity. I mean, it's baseball wants more emotion, needs more emotion. I grew up with Reggie Jackson, Billy Martin, Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle, Mark Fidrich. They were the great characters of the game. You're going to cut a guy for that? For a bad 12 seconds? He cares. I'm a major league GM. I'd get him on my roster tomorrow. So yesterday we talked about something. I said, and this is something that has been proven true in studies. People fear things that never materialize. So there was a recent psychological study that 80 to 85% of things that people fear will happen never happen. For the longest time, we had elevator operators. A man just stood outside of an elevator because people were afraid to get on them. There's not many moments in recorded history of people suffocating to death on an elevator or being trapped and dehydrating, unable to eat and dying. But we had elevator operators because people were afraid to get onto elevators. 80 to 85% of what we fear Never materializes. People get in their head, talk themselves into anxiety and trouble. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. And you see this in sports. People freaked out, the old timers. The baseball pitch clock. It'll never work. Oh, it's actually worked perfectly. 30 minutes has been cut off games. Attendance up over 10%. Same with ratings. I remember working at the other place about 10, 12 years ago when the NFL severely reduced hitting, especially quarterbacks in the league. You heard a chorus of, why don't they just wear a dress? Because they're football players, and the league is trying to keep them upright, safe, healthy for more contracts. The ratings have grown stupendously in the last 12 years. In the NBA, there was that in-season tournament that people just bitched about. People have to grumble. It actually was a huge success. The courts were different. It was fun. It got me to a television set. In games in October, November, December, I would not normally watch. The championship game in the in-season tournament got 4.6 million viewers. It was the highest rated non-Christmas regular season game in 6 years. Don't fear things. They're not going to happen. College football's only getting better. When the Pac-12, the conference I grew up with, when it was disbanded, the only Power 5 conference west of the Rockies, all I heard from friends, defended it. This is outrageous. And I said, I watched the games outside of Washington and Oregon. It's nothing but empty seats. The games don't rate very well. Okay. I think it's kind of cool that USC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon, the 4 biggest brands, I wish they would have taken Utah. Go to the Big Ten with Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State. You kidding me? I mean, Penn State was independent for years. They joined the Big Ten. It worked out. So I said yesterday, why is USC staying with playing Notre Dame? Really? I got to have Michigan, Oregon, Washington, Penn State, Wisconsin. Then in November, I got to go to South Bend and play in 9 degrees? As I've got Ohio State potentially in 2 weeks. I just beat Michigan, got the season right. I was 6-1. Now I'm 7-1. No bye. No Purdue. It's Notre Dame, national TV, off a bye. Yes, Notre Dame needs that game. They're an independent. USC doesn't, and they're going to regret that game in about 3 and 4 years when they keep elevating their program and personnel and have an opportunity late in the season to really get some momentum. Here comes Michigan and Notre Dame in South Bend, 11 degrees first. The sport would be fine without USC and Notre Dame. There's a lot of things I like but don't need, like a Maserati or a mansion. I like USC Notre Dame, although it's clearly become a Notre Dame-owned series. The Irish need it. USC doesn't. The sport would be fine. It went from the BCS to a 4-team playoff. People grumbled. Now it's going to a 12-team playoff. People are grumbling more. They disband in the Pac-12. We're fine. The pitch clock, the in-season tournament. Take a deep breath. I understand 40% of Americans never leave the zip code they were born in. I get it. People don't like change. But it's inevitable. And most of the time, it's better. USC, Notre Dame, if I was an AD at either school, especially USC, I'd start looking at calendars and make it a bye. They'd survive. The sport would survive.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.